Welcome to Isla Sorna, codenamed Site B, proving ground for the greatest scientific discovery of the 20th century. You are now 333 kilometers southwest of Costa Rica in the Pacific Ocean. The largest island in the volcanic Muertes archipelago, Sorna is characterized by steep, jagged mountain ranges and valleys draped in dense tropical jungle, coniferous rainforest, and sprawling grasslands. The ideal setting to observe our extraordinary animals and study their behavior in a diverse array of environments. In this video, we will familiarize you with the three main installations on Site B, the Worker Village, Embryonics Administration Compound, and the Aviary Complex. We will explore the key locations within them, as well as their functions to InGen's mission and the daily lives of you and your team members. We begin our tour at the Worker Village, the base for all operations and support staff on Site B. The reinforced concrete centerpiece of the village, where you are currently receiving orientation, is the Operations Building. Serving as the communications center for the entire facility, all logistics, maintenance, and construction projects in the preserve are coordinated here. Across from operations on the right-hand side is the boarding house, the living quarters for construction, utility, and maintenance staff while on site. Each floor accommodates an air-conditioned suite of 2 bunk rooms joined by a lounge, dining hall, and washroom. Behind the boarding house, the kiln house utilizes excess heat from one of 3 geothermal power stations on the island. Geothermal power is the lifeblood of our operation in the Muertes archipelago. Clean and infinitely renewable, natural heat generated from magma flow deep beneath the island is extracted to boil water in closed cycles. This activates gold alloy turbines to generate an abundance of electricity, powering the facility's infrastructure and meeting an especially crucial demand for our state-of-the-art laboratories. Across the road from the boarding house is the gas station and maintenance post. A small mechanic shop supports our motor pool on the island, as well as a first aid station equipped to stabilize most medical emergencies. There is no infirmary on Site B. Critical emergencies will require medevac to a trauma center in San Jose, a short flight by helicopter. Moving to the outer edge of the Worker Village, we have one of 2 game warden posts on Isla Sorna. InGen game wardens are primarily responsible for status checks on the various population groups in the preserve, herding stray animals back to their territory, and escorting researchers in the field. Their assistance in data collection is paramount as we learn how to care for these animals, as well as informing our engineers on Nublar to plan suitable enclosures for each distinct species. South of the game warden post, workers on break and off shift are free to dine and unwind at the village cantina. With a fully staffed kitchen serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the cantina specializes in traditional Costa Rican Tico-style cuisine, featuring fresh-caught red snapper, mahi-mahi, and jumbo shrimp. Beer and guaro is served after 5 p.m. Next door to the cantina, workers can purchase groceries, toiletries, work attire, and other personal items at the village general store, open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Between the general store and the boarding house is the InGen construction field office and supply dump, regularly stocked with the necessary building materials and equipment for any active projects on the island. We complete our tour of the Worker Village on its eastern perimeter, where you will find one of 3 shuttle stations that connect the main sectors of Site B. Shuttles depart every 30 minutes from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. Independent transport after hours may be arranged with the Game Warden office upon request. As we depart the Worker Village to the west, we climb a winding trail through towering conifers that leads to the scenic Ridge Road. Breathtaking views of the lower preserve river valley flank our rocky descent, while the ridge road leads us south to Site B's factory floor, the Embryonics Administration Compound. The most technologically advanced research facility of its kind, Embryonics Administration, is where the rubber meets the road for InGen geneticists as they unlock the secrets of evolution and lead the field of biotechnology into the future. From the compound's shuttle station, we access the campus grounds behind the main administration building and cooling tower. To our left, we see the gas station and maintenance post servicing the compound. To demonstrate the production line at Embryonics Administration and explore its primary structures, we must first cross the campus to a small office and helipad at the northeastern perimeter. The sophisticated process of de-extinction begins at the Exhibition Center, the logistics hub for our dig teams abroad. InGen operates amber mines and funds paleontological digs across the Americas, Europe, Eastern Asia, and the Caribbean. Fossilized bone fragments may provide useful proteins in framing a genetic code, but the crown jewels of the Jurassic Park project are mosquitoes fossilized in amber, a relatively common phenomenon in the fossil record due to the sugary nature of tree resin that attracts insects. Upon arrival at the Exhibition Center helipad, amber and other useful specimens are then transferred to the Embryonics Administration front office, where they are inventoried and processed in the Genome Extraction Laboratory. InGen scientists carefully extract preserved blood from the mosquito and any trace protein from other fossils, producing an incomplete DNA strand. Down the hall in the attached warehouse, our cutting-edge supercomputers analyze the 3 billion lines of code in each strand to begin constructing a genome in the species catalog. 16 climate-controlled chambers protect the mainframe performing such high-volume processing from Sorna's dense, persistent humidity. Though still incomplete, a viable genome begins to take shape. Now that we can identify the sequence gaps in the DNA strand, we move north to synthesis and incubation, the largest structure in the compound. Using state-of-the-art 3D imaging software, InGen geneticists visualize the strand and plug holes in the code with that of modern animals. Amphibian, reptile, and bird DNA is utilized where appropriate to complete the genome. The reconstructed strand is then compressed to form a nucleus, which is injected into an unfertilized egg cell and allowed to multiply, creating an embryo. With the synthesis of our embryo complete, we now move to the incubation room at the rear of the building. Fully developed dinosaur embryos are inserted into ostrich eggs and grouped by species in our controlled incubators. Early at this developmental stage, the embryo is denied the naturally occurring hormone determining sex, ensuring all animals born in the facility remain female. Under around-the-clock supervision from incubation staff, assisted by automated robotic arms that gently turn each egg on the hour, the controlled incubation period can last between 10 to 85 days. As the first egg begins to show early signs of hatching, the clutch is moved from incubation to the hatchery, where the full brood is expected to hatch in 12 to 48 hours. Surviving infants are nursed in holding pens until they grow large enough to be released into the preserve. The animals cloned at Site B are engineered to grow at an accelerated rate, generally reaching adolescence within the first 8 months. Most will reach full maturity in 2 to 4 years. With a fundamental understanding of the procedure driving our research and production at Embryonics Administration, our tour continues to another essential branch housed on its campus. Diagonally from the Expedition Center in the eastern corner is the Paleomedical Facility. Under the guidance of Chief Veterinarian Dr. Jerry Harding, paleomedical staff are tasked with diagnosing illness, treatment, and pioneering medical guidelines for every species. With cooperation from the game warden, severely injured animals are tranquilized and transported to the facility to be stabilized and healed before being reintroduced into the preserve. Across from Paleomedical at the base of the central water tower is the Staff Lodge, the living quarters for administration, synthesis, incubation, hatchery, and senior veterinary staff while stationed at the compound. Independent dorm units with air conditioning, single bath, and kitchenette keep our brightest minds razor sharp and well rested, spared no expense. The front lobby joins a recreation room with the Lodge Diner, open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, serving a fusion of Americana and Costa Rican fare. As we make our way to the northern corner of the campus, we pass the second game warden post servicing the lower preserve. Further north beyond the hatchery is the geothermal station powering the compound, the largest and most fortified of the 3 geothermal power stations on Site B, guaranteed to keep our operation uninterrupted in the event of a severe storm. Our final stop at Embryonics Administration is the observation tower in the northwestern corner of the compound. From a platform rising 64 feet, the tower offers a clear view into the holding enclosure outside of the hatchery, giving researchers a safe position to run diagnostics on new releases and study their social behavior in open air before they're relocated into the preserve. The holding enclosure can also serve as a controlled environment in the event an animal requires temporary isolation from their population group. The road from Embryonics Administration to the Aviary complex takes us around the lower river valley and through its marshy delta in the southwest, eventually turning north at a steady climb along the western rim of the valley. We approach the high-security perimeter fence partitioning the aviary complex from the preserve territory designated for large carnivores. After accessing the gate, the road descends north into the outpost shuttle station. Early in InGen's journey extracting prehistoric DNA, the team created embryos for flying reptiles and an unexpected challenge for InGen construction. The embryos were held in cold storage while construction raced to build an adequate enclosure for such creatures. They elected to utilize the river canyon in the northern sector and its 350-foot cliff faces, ensuring a steady water source and sturdy natural foundation. Supporting operations at the aviary complex is the outpost, positioned on the northern end of the enclosure. With its own boarding house, maintenance post, and small geothermal station, essential personnel is standing by to maintain the aviary and care for its inhabitants. On the western edge of the enclosure, just outside of the shuttle station, is the Aviary Management Building. Outfitted with its own incubation lab, hatchery, and embryo storage, management also serves as the access point into the enclosure for game warden and veterinary staff while dispatched to the complex. Back around to the northern edge of the enclosure is the lower observation gallery. Researchers at the complex analyze our flying reptiles through 3-inch thick bulletproof glass, logging their feeding habits, social hierarchy, and propulsion from ground level. However, the best way to observe these magnificent creatures is a 20-minute hike up the canyon to the upper observatory. Positioned atop the southern edge of the aviary, this observatory overlooks the entire enclosure with a clear view into the canyon to the east. Down the spiral staircase at the center of the observatory is the access point for the 3,000-foot-long catwalk system that runs from the aviary central chamber to its eastern wing, bringing researchers with the highest security clearance within inches of our spectacular pterosaurs in flight. Before we conclude our tour of Site B, there are 2 more notable locations to visit on our way back to the worker village. Hidden in the trees overlooking the river valley from the north is the aptly named High Hide, a secure observation post and communication tower centered in the preserve. Primarily tasked with logging the movement of various species in the valley, researchers on duty also relay information to game warden and veterinary teams while dispatched. Further south off the Ridge Road is the current position of the mobile lab, the field office for researchers performing tests and overseeing animal behavior. Researchers on the ground are assigned with building a profile for each de-extinct species, determining their environmental needs, dietary needs, cohabitation with other species, as well as their territorial habits, sleeping habits, and recording their top land speed. Data collection missions are carefully planned and completed with game warden assistance. The more we understand these animals, the more we can prepare their eventual enclosures and develop reliable protocol for any anticipated encounter. On behalf of John Hammond and International Genetic Technologies Incorporated, we extend our warmest welcome and sincerest congratulations on your selection to our team here on Isla Sorna. We hope this video introduction to Site B has been enjoyable as it was informative and leaves you feeling a sense of preparedness as you ease into your new role and greater work life with InGen. What we accomplish on these islands, with your help, will be celebrated for generations. Remember, we don't make history. We make your future together.